What's going on, everybody? Here, track announcer Chris Griffin in the Parks Racing Studio for another edition of Out of the Gate. Happy Monday to you. Oh yeah, with Swiss. Make sure you get a good shot of that right there. Cheesesteak with Swiss. Let's make it a thing. I really think this needs to become a thing here in Philly and Pennsylvania. Those look like Steelers colors, don't they? Oh, man. Both teams in the playoffs now. How about that? Who had that coming? Hey, let's talk about the 10 races we got coming up on today's card. We got a nice card this afternoon. Main track's going to be listed as good as we get into the live racing action. And then also, don't forget that we got that post time change coming up next Monday. Next Monday will be at 12:25, so keep that in mind for our live racing here at Parks. Let's dive right in here and take a look at race number 1 to kick things off at 5.5 furlongs. Miss Canella, it's going to be interesting, the number 1, as far as the running style. She went way off the pace, which is something different than she's been doing. She's been showing some early speed, but the number 6, Peak of Chic, is going to be the top selection towards the outside. Ruben Silvera and Lou Linder Jr. team up in here on a horse that showed a lot of speed. 21-2 or 21-3 that opening quarter. That is absolutely flying here for the level at the 12.5 with an outside post. Linder and Silvera, I think they control the tempo and a good main track, so we'll keep an eye on some of those outside posts as well. Maybe take some of those selections more towards the outer part of the track here as we get things kicked off here for race number 1. Race 2, though, I will take a horse that's down towards the inside, and that's the 2 Fast Life. I'll talk about this horse plenty on the live show, but you take a look at this second beaten 2 lengths behind Starship Subway. La Penzanella finished 3rd in that spot. Horse came back to win that race, so I think Fast Life is coming out of a good enough race. Yes, this is an 0 for 11 maiden that came from South Florida, but now gets a second start here at Parks under the care of trainer Mario Dominguez, who's had a really nice 2021, and he'll continue to do some nice things here in 2022. They're going to go a mile and 16th. The horse is stretching out a little bit, maybe a little bit closer to the pace, and I think this horse will close well in today's second race. Talking about all this great racing action all year, we race Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, but we've added those Saturday races, 6 of them this season. We have the PA Derby and Cotillion, but here is a little bit of a word from a voice you may have heard, talking about that live racing calendar here at Parks in 2022.
Join us at Parks for live racing in 2022. The live racing calendar has been released, and Parks will run Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Starting on May 7th, Parks Racing will add Saturdays to the schedule. Join us on Saturday afternoons for some of Porsche Racing's biggest days. Our final Saturday program of 2022 will be on September 24th. That's Pennsylvania Derby and Cotillion Day. For more information, go to parksracing.com and make plans for live racing from Parks Racing.
That's the live racing calendar here in 2022. Had some questions about it, so we've got those 5 added Saturdays. You see that we aren't racing on Wednesdays those weeks. Those are some pretty big days of racing from a national landscape as well, so just follow along and join us on Saturday afternoons. That Picnic Grove area should be rocking on those days starting May 7th. Race number 3, 6 furlongs in here, and this is a 12.5 non-2. You take a look at this race. I'm going to go to the 6 again, and we be there. You know, you take Silvera early on here in the meet. Kate DeMasi. This horse is dropping from an optional 25. I think the horse showed a lot in that maiden $20,000 start. That was over a muddy surface. The track is rated as good right now. We'll keep an eye on things as we get closer to post time. But we be there on the class drop. Just faced too many tough rivals in the last race. Second place finisher out of that spot, Hoist the Main Sail, came back to win last week. So I think that race is coming out live, and you drop in class. That's my top pick. Race number 4, this is a tough one. 7 furlongs, maiden 16. I'll land on She's First Class. She stretches out a little bit in distance. She went from 6 furlongs now to the 7 furlongs. For me, Sylvester Gonzalez aboard for trainer Harold Wiley. We'll see if this 5-year-old mare now can put things together and get to the winner's circle, I should say. She's trying another drop in class. They're just trying to find the right spot for her right now. She was, in those maiden special weights, and she was running okay. Needed to drop down to 40, drop down to 20, now drop down to 16. So I'll land here with She's First Class. Maybe she's a little bit closer to the pace here on the class drop. Race number 5, as we get into this one, got some bullet points to talk about this horse, Impactful. This is another tough race in the sequence. I think some of the earlier races in the sequence, they're pretty tough as far as trying to find not only a favorite, but your winner here, because I think you can go a little bit deeper. But the 6 Impactful towards the outside with Dexter Haddock aboard. Second beaten a neck last time out. And let's take a look at the bullet points for this horse for trainer Miguel Penaloza. Leaning here for the top pick. And when I say leaning, it's basically that I don't have the strongest opinion that this horse is your winner, but I do think, I got to make a top pick in here for this 5th race. I'll land here on the number 6. She's been at this $7,500 level, or he has been at this $7,500 level the last 2 starts. Now, they pick up 7 pounds with Dexter Haddock on board. You got to do the El Ignacio in the last start. Second beat in the neck. Prior to that, a 10-pound bug, 10-pound allowance there, fourth beat in 2 1/4. We'll see with the added 7 pounds, more experienced rider, what kind of trip Impactful does get in here. That last race puts him right there. I mean, I think that race, if this horse runs back to that, the number came back strong. This one is in a good spot here to get the victory. Look at the price. Horse is 2 to 1 in the morning line. We'll see what this horse ends up going off at, but Impactful is going to be my top selection. I'll lean that way to the number 6 in race number 5. We got a chance to catch up with the trainer on the backside here. He's been a top trainer for years. Had to look back and take a look at his record now. Over 3 decades that he's been on the East Coast, and he's had a couple Breeders' Cup runs. So this a quick interview here as we got a chance on Out of the Gate to talk to trainer Scott Lake.
Trainer Scott Lake has been at Parks for over 3 decades. He knew an office job was never for him.
That's one of the reasons I went to the racetrack, because I didn't want to work in an office and wear a suit and everything. The barn was always for me, and shorts is, I want to live on the beach someday, and if and when I ever retire.
Lake has enjoyed a remarkable career with over 6,000 career wins as a trainer. The story starts with trips to the track with his dad. But his dad took another trip that got him into racing.
For me, when I was a kid, my dad would take us to the races. You're watching this, and you're going, wow, look at these horses, and the jocks, you kind of idolize them. I started out wanting to be a jock, but obviously by the time I was 14, it was over. A dream was over. But someone that just loved being in the barn, and it was just an awesome experience. Well, my dad was a Harrisburg police officer. Loved going to the races at Penn National. Took us, went in the hospital for a surgery. Ended up sharing a room with a guy that moved from New Orleans that just had 6 horses and just moved there, and it was all over after that. He got a horse, and I started working weekends and summers. My dad had horses with a guy named Dave Demestri, Rick Wasserman, kind of worked for them summers, weekends. My first official job working for somebody as a groom was Rich Hoffa, and then a guy named Chester Reedy, and then when I went to work for Bruce Kravitz, kind of ran a shed row, rubbed horses, and learned tons from him. I consider him my father.
To remain near the top of the standings is the goal every year, as Lake has been a fixture on the East Coast.
It's a tough start, but I had a couple guys that knew me for a long time, and they said, look, if you go out on your own and you get a horse, or if you get your trainer's license, we'll get your horse, and kind of start it that way. That's the greatest thing about being here is you got so many tracks within 2 hours of each other, so you have so many options.
Lake has been in the claiming game for the majority of his career. One horse specifically comes to mind.
Had a horse named Ryan's King that I probably claimed back about 5 or 6 times, and he was a horse, if you run back in 2 or 3 days, he'd run lights out. He can only do it like once a year or once every couple months or whatever, but he would love it.
Lake still has his goals in mind, and the big race he wants to win might surprise most fans.
Breeders' Cup Sprint's always been my dream. Everyone wants the Derby. I want the Breeders' Cup Sprint, and maybe to get back to Dubai one time. My career's always been more sprint-type horses and stuff, and I've had a lot of good ones, and for some reason, that's just the race I want to win.
Scott Lake has had a Hall of Fame career at Parks. What advice does he have for young and up-and-coming trainers?
It's a rough business. You can't be thin-skinned, and you got to be willing to work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Thanks again to trainer Scott Lake, his entire team, as we got a chance to catch up with him. He's got some nice horses coming into this 2022 season, so we'll see how things do end up for that barn. And we'll take a look at the standings, obviously, throughout the year. Scott Lake has been doing it for a long time, Hall of Famer right here at Parks. Race number 6, we get into the Philly Big 5, and we'll take a look at that carryover here to kick off this Philly Big 5 sequence. $35,804.61. It starts off with this race at a mile. We'll see what Distract and Attack does go off at, the number 9, who's going to end up being my top selection in here. On outside post, Abner Adorno will be aboard, and you take a look at the 9, stumbled in the start in the last start and was second best. This horse has run into some pretty good horses in the last 2. Yes, his finish behind Go Huskies, Sky Temple in front of that horse, also in front of Horse Be With You. But this horse has been on the pace here, on the early kick here in some races that have been very quick. I think finds company that it's basically his turn. I think it's his turn to get to the winner's circle, a 4-year-old gelding that has held good enough form to get to the winner's circle there in race number 6. Race number 7, go with the number 5 bouncing around. Went back to this angle a couple times last week. Second off the layoff right now for Jamie Ness has been a slam dunk. I mean, you take a look at this barn. Horse is coming from a bit of time off. Now the horse is going to drop in class. Ran at the $25,000 claiming level, then an allowance race, 7th beaten 6.5. Now second off the layoff. This is a 28% number, drops down to 12.5. Bouncing around, if you get the 3-1, what have I said, right? Run to the windows, don't walk to the windows. No, walk to the windows, do it safely. But bouncing around here, second off the layoff, I think that horse is going to be extremely tough there in race number 7. Race number 8 going a mile and 70 yards. This could be another short price favorite in here. It's So Easy. The style of his victories have been just really impressive. A 5-year-old mare here by Raison de Tat, Kentucky bred. She has been so good when she's run here. Her last 3 starts, but basically her last 2 starts, she never looked like she was going to be defeated in either one of those races. And we're going to take a look at this last run where she beat some nice horses. You know, Sweet Wilhelmina, she beat her. We talked about Sweet Wilhelmina. You saw her in the video there with trainer Scott Lake. It's So Easy against Lean On E. They go into this far turn. You look at It's So Easy. Look at how she's traveling. She just puts herself in the right spots. Michael Sanchez aboard here for Guadalupe Preciado with an outside post. And watch how she rallies, and she's very game. Lean On E is game too. This is not a horse that quits towards the inside. It's So Easy is just in really good form right now. I mean, she's just continuing to be close enough to the lead. She can be on the lead. She can be just off of it. She's just got so many different ways that she can beat them, really. I mean, she's just doing it. She's doing it easily. She's just very, very good right now. We'll see how she continues to hold this form and where she can continue to go, but she's going through her conditions and she just wins these races in very fine form. So we'll see how she does in that race. Could be a short price favorite, so look for some value as you build some of your tickets, looking at those multi-legs like your Philly Big 5. See if you can throw some long shots in there if you don't agree with some of these top selections, because they say I pick only chalk, and I think I picked 3 favorites in a row. So we'll see what happens here in that first 3 legs of the sequence. Race number 9, here's not a chalk runner here. Lula's Roadrunner, the number 4 for Ron Dandy. Why can't this one win this race? Finished second, beaten, length and a half last time behind Billy Ann. Last 2 starts have actually been behind Billy Ann. I think Lula's Roadrunner is sitting in a position where she can get the win here at this 7 furlong distance. She's been this distance 4 times with no wins, but she's been right there in the last few starts. I think she's holding good enough form that Lula's Roadrunner keeps Anthony Nunez aboard this 5-year-old mare by Uptown Charlie Brown in this state-bred allowance type race here for the Pennsylvania bred. She should be well positioned in this spot. The number 7 Cartouche is another interesting one that I've got picked on the ticket. Second beat and a half length. If you're looking for a race to kind of spread, you know, in those multi-legs, this is probably it. When you're looking at Cartouche, horse has been good in the 2 starts back, wins by 3. Last start, second beat and a half to Shirley Green. Shirley Green is going to become, you know, one of these top runners on the circuit if she continues her ascent in some of these races. Race number 10 as we do close things out in here. And Highway 27, trainer is Dylan Clark, brings this horse over from Finger Lakes, 6 furlongs being the distance in here. Not going to be my top choice, actually. We're going to go towards the outside in here with the number 9, Hazam. And when you're looking at Hazam in that performance, you know that 2 horses an interesting jockey booking. We'll see if Silvera and the 2 get there. But I went towards the outside again. I got the 9, 7, and 5, so that might be telling me that the 2 is scratched. So I'll have to take a look at that here when we go through those scratches and changes. But Hazam, second beat and a half length. Edwin Rivera back aboard. If you go back and watch this replay, this horse is trapped in behind horses, had to tip to the outside, closes with a big rush in there. I've got a replay that will show on the live show, but you take a look at Hazam, a 7-year-old gelding, 1 win at the distance, and I think that this horse, if he goes back to that last effort, he drew the rail. He's going to have to work out the right trip, but he has a better post this afternoon, I think, and I think if he gets the setup, that Hazam should be very tough in that race. The number 7, Mucho Mas Grande for Jim Noble. You take a look at the number 7 in here, now goes into the new barn off of that 3rd place finish behind Tactical Plan, Bluegrass Cat Smile. They claim for $5,000. They're going to go up to $7,500. I see that as a pretty positive sign that they feel like this horse is moving in the right direction and they've got a shot to take on a little tougher company here at this $7,500 level. So I'll go with Hazam. I'll be taking a look at the 7 in here. Double check on some of those scratches and changes because I've got that 5 in the 3rd spot now, but we will review all of those things. The 2 is scratched, just hearing right now. So I'll have all the scratches and changes coming up. I'm going to be jumping into the booth here as we get set to kick off 10 races on the card. Main track is good. And remember, when you order that cheesesteak, try and get it with Swiss. Enjoy this week of live racing right here at Parks. We'll be back next week with another show here on Out of the Gate, but enjoy all this great racing action. And don't forget, next Monday, first post time is 12:25. Good luck here at Parks.